When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.
Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with Darin Zoccali, and we've got Nick Tammaro filling in for James Scully all week. I think it's James' birthday week, so happy birthday, James, if you're watching on your off day. And we're going to be talking a lot of tracks today. There are still tracks running in spite of the weather. We've got Tampa Bay Downs, Gulfstream Park, Santa Anita, Aqueduct, and Fairgrounds that we're covering today. So Nick, since you're our guest all week, I will let you start things off. What is your best bet of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to head up to Aqueduct in Saturday's seventh race. And, for everybody that is not familiar, the main track, the first day that racing returned after Christmas on December 27th, was about as strong an inside bias as you're ever going to find. One race after another, every horse that was along the rail was at a huge advantage. Outside moves were virtually impossible. And the 4 points is a filly who was squarely up against it. She was wide the entire way, 3 to 4 paths off the inside. There was a brief period around the turn when she moved towards the rail, but never got on the rail. And if you watch that race back, we're not able to, but if you do, what you're going to see is the winner rode the rail the entire time. The winner sat on the rail, stalking the pace. The rail opened up, turning for home, and she just burst through and won. Points is a filly who hinted at having some real precocity in a debut win at Keeneland, where she came from deep in the pack to win that maiden special weight event. That's what we're going to see. She's widest now coming for home, currently getting into fifth in those Elkstone Group Silks. Really puts forth a nice late bid to get the job done. Somewhat atypical of a young, lightly raced Brad Cox horse in that she really didn't have a ton of speed. And she ends up angling to the inside to get up for the win here. Win's going away. Late developing 3-year-old that's now newly turned 4. She's going to go a mile in here, and I think the distance will really suit her quite well. Obviously, what I'm hoping for is a fairer racetrack and a real opportunity to see what kind of horse Points is. She was 3-1 last time out against similar one other than competition. David Aragona's made her 6-1 on the morning line here. So that's my best bet of the weekend, hoping for a fair surface. And I'm betting on all of these runbacks that were wide from December 27th. This is the first one up.
Yeah, I just to add to Nick's point, that was I've been watching races for 35 years. One of the strongest inside biases, not just speed, but inside biases that I've ever seen, where horses were literally just going 1-2 up the rail around the racetrack. And sometimes a horse would kind of make a move up the rail. If he wasn't the speed, if the speed drifted, a horse came up the inside to win. There were 3 to 5 shots that were angling off the rail. And it was almost like as soon as they angled out, they literally just ran into a wall. It was bizarre. So betting against horses that took advantage of that inside bias and betting with the horses that ran against it is going to be a pretty strong play of mine throughout the rest of January. And this is actually the first couple. There's the 1A in here is also coming out of the race, although she got beat 38 lengths. So it's hard to know what to make of that. But that's actually going to be the first couple of fillies that I've seen come out of that card run back. So that's going to be something that I'm paying close attention to at Aqueduct throughout the month of January.
I don't have much more to add to this. I thought it was a tough race, but I don't blame you, Nick, going for value when you get value with a Brad Cox runner. He's doing really well at Aqueduct this meet, which is not a surprise either. But Darin, I will switch it over to you. What is your best bet of the week?
Yeah, so I'm going to head on over to Gulfstream. I kind of went around the country to try to figure out what tracks I know are definitely going to run. And I feel pretty confident that Gulfstream will. So they have the Sunshine filly and mare turf that day. That's going postward as race number 5 on the card. And I like a horse at 6-1 in Mary quite Contrary, who's actually going to the turf for the first time in her career, which is really interesting. Now, she has kept some tremendous company at times in her career. She ran in the Grade 2 Inside Information. She was favored that day last January at Gulfstream Park. She came out of that to run third in the Royal Delta behind Honor D Lady. She ran in the Grade 1 Madison. She was far from disgraced in any of those races. And then she ran behind the eventual Breeders' Cup filly mare sprint winner in Soul of an Angel and the Princess Rooney. She's had 2 comeback races since then, both over the synthetic. And now they're going to turf with her for the first time. First dude, he's not really known for his turf prowess, although he gets 11% overall turf winners. Mekki on the dam side was a turf runner. So I'm kind of just taking a shot here that this mare going to turf for the first time is going to perk up. And the other angle is that she's a pretty much a one-run dead closing type, and this race is loaded with horses that want to go for the early lead, including a turf sprinter that is stretching out around 2 turns for the first time, which has to ensure a really good clip. So if Mary Quite Contrary does take to the turf course, I think she's going to come running late, and she's got a big shot.
I certainly would play against that morning line favorite. You're talking about stretching out to a route for the first time. I thought that was a potential fade of the week for me with Great Venezuela at 8-5, very short price for a horse that's never raced beyond, I believe, well, has raced 7.5 furlongs, but ended up getting caught late in that race. So I feel like that's a vulnerable favorite here. And we'll see what happens first on the turf with this horse that you pegged. Because I was a little concerned with the pedigree, but I can see your reasoning here for why you think could get a good performance first time on the grass. All right, well, I would take it over to my best bet, and this is at Tampa Bay, sticking with Florida here. I'm going with number 10, Just in Time for Wine. Gotta love that name at 5-1. This is a 1 1/16 mile claimer for 4-year-olds and up on the turf, and this is an 8-year-old gelding who has raced 57 times for his career, but last season was his best season, 5 for 10 in 2024. Looking at pace scenario, Just in Time for Wine should be able to have his way on the front end. I don't really see a lot of other speed that I think can beat him. Looking for gate to wire here. I think this horse is a need the lead type, but I think this horse can win at a 1/16, has won before at that distance 6 times, and does pretty well at this track. Now, the last 2 times racing at Tampa Bay did have the lead in the stretch and then faded late. So there is a concern there with the two most recent starts, but could improve third off the layoff. So I'm going to go with that value at 5-1. I think if you play an exacta, I would include Policy Option, who's a late runner. And then I think Western Yarn has a chance here to go for the early lead, but I'm still going to play Just in Time for Wine on top in my exacta.
Jose Ferrer on a speed horse on turf feels like one of the great traditions of Florida racing, right? And this is a fast horse that's been in a variety of different barns, but has certainly done some heavy lifting on the front end, left and right. One of my favorites for sure. And I can guarantee you one thing, Jose will get him to the lead.
Yeah. Let's switch over to the horses we're fading at a short price. Darin, who is that for you?
Yeah, it actually comes at Tampa Bay Downs as well. They have a race in race number 6 that I took a look at. It's a maiden event going a 1/16 on the turf. Number 2, Back to Gridlock. Look, can she win? Sure. This is just the profile of a horse that I'm going to try to beat every time. She debuted as a 3-year-old, March of her 3-year-old career. She ran behind a very talented horse who I believe ran in the Kentucky Oaks that year in Just Catherine. Came back 2 months later, ran a decent third at Churchill Downs Kentucky Derby week, then went away for the better part of 18 months and really showed a little bit of early foot, but not much late interest at Belmont at Aqueduct back in September, and has now been laid up again for another 3.5 months. And now they're moving her to the turf for the first time. She's by Nyquist out of a Henny Hughes mare. The mare has never produced a turf winner. So there's just a lot of negative angles here tied into what's going to be a short price because it's Klarovich, Chad Brown, and Irad Ortiz at Tampa Bay. So all of that put together just screams underlay to me and a horse that I'm going to try to beat.
I like it, especially looking at the pedigree here. I do see a lot of reason to play against this horse. Lacks the turf pedigree, in my opinion. Nick, what do you think? Any thoughts on this race, or we can take it over to your fade if you want to go that route?
Yeah, no, always a good opportunity to bet against those connections when you have an angle, a negative angle. And it's still amazing to me that we see as many good horses from this stable go to debut or go to break their maiden at Tampa. Says a lot about the turf condition there. And so looking forward to some turf racing. There might not be a whole heck of a lot of turf racing around the country on Saturday. We'll definitely, hopefully get some at Tampa.
And Nick, what is your fate of the week?
So I didn't have the benefit of the morning line, so I just hoped that this horse is going to be the morning line favorite. The 11 Hey Jesse in the nightcap on Saturday at Santa Anita. It's the California Cup Oaks. This is really more of a handicapping principle that I try to stick to, which is this is the ultimate if you miss the wedding, don't go to the funeral horse, right? You miss the 16-1 in the Soviet problem. Now she's going to be a fraction of that price, coming back, looking for her second turf win. This is as wide open as a race can get. I mean, the favorite in here could easily be 4-1 or 9-2. And I think Hey Jesse will end up taking a pretty decent amount of money. I'm looking forward to seeing the morning line and also handicapping the race in a little bit more depth, because races like this where horses are coming in with dirt form, moving to turf, they might have some sketchy pedigrees. Being Cowbreds, I say sketchy in that they might not have a ton of pedigree. They're interesting from a wagering perspective because people love to bet horses on the wrong surface. And you'll rarely find as much value as you do in surface switches, off the turf races, things like that, where people are betting horses based on form on the other surface. I feel like people are going to be betting Hey Jesse because of a good dirt race and a very average turf race that really doesn't hold up to scrutiny. She's my fade of the week. I'm sure I could probably find more that actually have morning lines at this point, but she's the one I settled on, being that my expert picks will be available for Santa Anita for Saturday action, as they are for every Santa Anita card.
I like that plug. That was very well done.
Blaze is like, yeah, we got him on for a reason.
For my fade, I will take it over to Fairgrounds, and it's number 1, Manama Gold, at 5-2 in the Bob Wright Memorial Stakes. This is a Star Guitar filly making her second start for Sharita Vo. Used to be in the barn of Todd Pletcher and made a name for herself overseas in Dubai, won the UAE Oaks, and could have been a supplemental entry into the Kentucky Oaks. We didn't end up seeing her in that race, but in the barn of Todd Pletcher, she did not get a win, and now she's looking for her first one in the U.S. and the barn of Sharita Vo, who is doing very well at Fairgrounds, but this filly is out of form, hasn't really been a solid contender in any of her starts here in the U.S., and I'm looking at pace scenario here and looking at the form of other horses in the field, and I just feel like there are some stronger options with a little bit better value as well. So I'm going to play against Manama Gold at 6 furlongs. Her 3 career wins came at 7 furlongs, a mile, and a mile and 3/16. I would rather play someone like number 2, Six String, who is coming off a win in the Ladies Sprint Stakes on Louisiana Champions Day. And then you've got, if you want a longer shot, Louis V, who was beaten just a neck in that race and maybe could have a better day here in this sprint race. So I'm fading Manama Gold. I don't like the 6 furlong distance for this horse.
Yeah, I mean, I will freely admit that my knowledge is somewhat lacking when it comes to Louisiana breds, and it's certainly not my strongest suit when it comes to handicapping. But that being said, if she didn't win last time out at odds of 1-2 against that field, well, why would you come back and bet her again? She did get in a little bit of tight quarters watching the replay, and she does have a good workout. But I mean, obviously, this is a filly that's been disappointing. I actually got sucked into betting her in the Lake George when I thought going over the turf.
So did I. I was going to admit it. Friends tell friends they bet the wrong horse.
Yeah. So I got sucked into her that day, and she did not run a step after about the first 5 furlongs or 6 furlongs of that race. So I've kind of had a sour note on her since then. But I would definitely, I completely agree, taking a stab against her here.
Yeah, and you mentioned in that 6 furlong sprint last out in that stakes race at Fairgrounds, Freeburn came in second, just a half length behind the winner, and then Six String was just a neck behind Freeburn. Manama Gold was 2 1/4 lengths back behind Six String. So you got 2 rivals that are reopposing Manama Gold who did better in that last race.
I mean, what we can't deny, and we can definitely admit it now, is when they shipped her over here, what they really were planning on was the Bob Wright Memorial. Right. I mean, this had to be the long range target. So let's not kid ourselves. This could have been a real objective. And all kidding aside, obviously, Sharita Vo is an excellent trainer. I'm not sure how much Cherie can do for this horse. Right. She has been a colossal disappointment since coming here. And I agree. You want to talk about fades. This looks like about as much of a fade to me as you're going to find.
Let's move over to our promos and tournaments for this week. So, Darin, what's going on at TwinSpires?
There's a lot going on because we've been doing like the 5 Ds of dodgeball: duck, dive, dip, and dodge, going through all the weather forecasts and trying to figure out which tournaments that we want to get to. One thing that's been constant, though, is one of our great offers. We're going to have points promos all month long, and this week we have 8 times wager rewards points on your most wagered upon racetrack, and that takes place every day this week through Sunday. So what that means is we're leaving it up to you, the horse player, to decide. Whatever track on a day, if you're opted in, that you wager the most on, you're getting 8 times wager rewards. We're not forcing you to any one track. It could be Tampa Bay Downs one day. It could be Gulfstream the next day. It could be Turfway the day after that. Wherever you bet the most money, you're getting 8 times wager rewards as long as you're opted in, and that runs all the way through Sunday. And then be sure to come back to the promo page this weekend and see what our next points offer is going to be, because we are really about the wager reward points here at TwinSpires. And then one of the tracks that seems to be at least getting away from any bad weather for the time being, although you'll hear them talk about it being a little chilly down there, chilly being 68 degrees. Gulfstream Park on Sunday, $2,500 late pick 5, hit it and split it. For all the pick 5 players out there, just an added advantage to getting involved in that pick 5. You hit it, you're opted in, you get a share of the extra $2,500. Now, as far as the tournaments, yeah, we've been doing a lot of maneuvering. We had tournaments set up for Oakland this weekend that we've had to cancel. Today we have one going on right now at the fairgrounds. We've got Delta Downs tonight. We are going to be shifting our attention to Tampa Bay Downs on Friday and Saturday. Tampa Bay tomorrow, Tampa Bay on Saturday. They have that Pasco card that we've been talking about. It looks like a nice card. It's going to have good weather, good turf racing, and certainly is a viable option. Turfway Park is currently still listed as a tournament track for Friday and Saturday. They're going to try to give it a go. We'll kind of wait and see, and if we have to make a move there, we'll make another move as well. So, but yeah, just go to the tournaments page. We're constantly updating it. We have backup plans in place. So the minute we get a cancellation, we'll get something to go up to replace it. But they will be day-night tournaments regardless, all weekend long, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Darin, I think you maybe made the 10th dodgeball reference we've had on the jury or the round table. That somehow just always seems to work its way into our shows.
Yeah, not a cult classic, but a classic.
Let's move on to what we're watching for this weekend. Nick, what are you watching for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a 3-year-old maiden race at Gulfstream on Saturday. It goes as race 7. It's going to kick off the late pick 5. And we're going to have a favorite in there, the 9, Camp Hale, for Ian Wilkes, third-time starter. Ian, incidentally, just picked up his 4th win at Gulfstream this afternoon. So it's been a good start to the winter for this barn. This son of Motown was a good second on debut, actually beat Patch Adams, the highly regarded Brad Cox trainee that came back to break his maiden very, very impressively. And then Camp Hale had the misfortune of running into Guns Loaded, who came right back to win the Mucho Macho Man. I don't think this horse is going to be 5-2. I think he's going to be quite a bit less than that, but I'm still excited to see him run. This is him finishing second, last out to Guns Loaded. However far you think Guns Loaded wants to run, what we know is he's fast, and running second to him and getting the kind of speed figure that this horse did at second asking is obviously bodes well for his future. There are some other lightly raced horses in here that look like they could easily have a lot of talent. The 8, Gosger, is from a nice family of horses that Harvey Clark owned that included Harvey's Little Goyle. She was second on debut, rallying well after a slow break for Brendan Walsh. This is a barn whose horses usually get better with experience. Can't Stop Munnings, the 6 for Brian Lynch, ran really well, 2 back as the favorite. Last out ran into Patch Adams. Now, of course, most of these horses get Lasix for the first time. And then you've got a firster towards the inside in Wild Conqueror for Brad Cox, who's by Authentic, out of a mare named Sass and Class, who was just a 2-race starter herself. But she's dropped some runners. Royal Charlotte is in that family. So Brad Cox, it seems as if he has sent some live horses to Gulfstream to winter there, especially some of his younger and or lightly raced horses. To me, Gulfstream is always about maidens on the dirt, and they give us a limited sample of dirt racing in general, so why not take a chance at this one? Looking forward to Camp Hale and everybody else in race number 7 on Saturday at Gulfstream.
Looks like a lot of potential in this field. You've got Grande, the 1 is by Curlin, was a $300,000 purchase, and Rapoli. And then, yeah, Wild Conqueror, Qatar Racing, pretty expensive purchase as well. We'll see what happens there. Darin, what are you watching for this weekend?
Yeah, to Nick's point about limited dirt racing, I tracked the handle and some of the stats for us at TwinSpires, and they've actually run 36 synthetic races so far since January the 1st, which is just pretty wild. So they're definitely limited dirt racing. I'm looking at Tampa Bay Downs, the Pasco Stakes. One of the very early, you can't really call it a Kentucky Derby prep race, but it's a prep for the Tampa Bay Derby. So every once in a while, you get a horse that comes out of here that moves onto the trail. Owen Almighty is a horse that won his first 2 starts very impressively, including the juvenile over at Ellis Park, and then ran second to the very talented Jonathan's Way in the Iroquois for trainer Brian Lynch. This is the morning line choice. He's going up against Naughty Rascal and Rookie Card. Naughty Rascal is a Florida bred who's won 3 of 5 lifetime starts, ran second in the inaugural stakes. You don't really see this type of pedigree by Roguish out of a Smarty Jones mare. which kind of speaks to the point that this horse is a Florida bred. But I do respect his versatility. He's won sprinting. He's run well long on dirt. He's won going long on turf. So he's a very nice horse to own because it seems that you could do just about anything you want with him. And they're going to take a little bit of a swing against Open Company again here. And then Rookie Card, who's been a horse that I was pretty high on since his debut at Saratoga, where he just ran his eyeballs out against Tip Top Thomas that day. A horse that we have not seen in quite a while, but is a talented runner. Quaden, the horse that ran third that day, came out of that race to win. Rookie Card then ran second as a beaten favorite in downstate New York, and then won by 5 in October. They freshened him up, sent him to Florida. He's by Adios Charlie out of a Vindication mare, so I'm not sure how far this colt does want to go, but he's high on talent, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here. He's got the look of a promising horse up to a mile, I think. So Rookie Card really draws my attention quite a bit here in the Pasco.
That's probably the horse I would play if you want to stand against Owen Almighty, who missed some training too with an illness, but Rookie Card probably will get the early lead, and early speed is winning at a high rate at 7 furlong sprints here at Tampa Bay. So that might be my play in this race. And then to close out, I will mention a couple of rematches happening this weekend over at Fairgrounds. The other stakes race that we have is the Gary Palmisano Memorial Stakes in race 8. It's a 6 furlong sprint, a rematch of Go Sugar and Jackhammer, who raced against each other in the Louisiana Champions Day Sprint Stakes. Now, Jackhammer was coming off a very long layoff, about 9 months, and finished second by 4 3/4 of a length to Go Sugar, but might get the better of Go Sugar in this rematch, being that he has a race underneath him now, and should be a good, I don't know that there's any other horses in this field that will be in contention here, but these two sprinters are very good down in Louisiana, so should be a fun one to watch. And then over at Aqueduct, we'll have another rematch between Tizzy in the Sky and Comparative, who went up against each other in the Go for Wand last out. Now, Tizzy in the Sky went gate to wire, and once again, won't have much speed to contend with here. Comparative will sit off the pace, but won this race last year in the midst of a 3-win streak. So potentially, again, coming off a long layoff as well in the Go for One. So maybe second start off the layoff can get the better of Tizzy in the Sky, but this does look like another race where we could see Tizzy in the Sky go gate to wire. It's a small field. Julia Shining's on the field as well for Todd Pletcher. But looking at Tizzy in the Sky or Comparative to get the win here in yet another rematch happening this weekend.
Yeah, exciting to see this. Tizzy in the Skies looked good at Aqueduct in particular, and does look like she might have that pace edge, but a nice little 5-horse field going early on that card, race 2 on a 9-race card Saturday at Aqueduct.
Well, that's all the time we have today for the TwinSpires jury. Thanks again, Nick, for filling in this week. It's always good to have you with us.
Anytime. Pleasure was all mine.
All right, head to TwinSpires to watch and wager on racing this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.